So I want to begin by thanking Parnes HaShana. Doesn't identify the arbor that Parnes HaShana is asking that all the schusim that having learning be merit for Leading Nishmas of Gdalya and Rabbi Shimon and the Neshama Shem Aliyah should be Simcha Nachas and Brach. So the page. Let me explain to you about the page that you have in front of you. Generally, we've been staying with the Sefer inside. But I had a call from one of the Chaver. It's not here right now, but it was a call from the Chaver that somebody that's listening that made a good ha'ara. There was a very big yisod that we learned last week, and he was asking whether or not this is something which is universally accepted, but across the board, not just more particular Beis HaMedrash, but this is also something that's part of the Derech HaLasham. I'm referring to the yisod that we spoke about last week, that the neshama that we're working with in our lives is only a small part of who we are, and that the Ikka neshama is in Shemayim, in the shorish of who we are, not in the way of an or pnimi, an inner light, but an or makif. And I said yes. It's of course it's not just in the nefesh chaim, even though nefesh chaim would be fine for all of us, but it's something which is alpi the Zohar Kodesh and the Kisvei, and something which all the tzaddikim write about. And I said that I'll do something inside a little bit. We'll learn something from the Balatanya, and we'll cover Yad Kislev, which is coming up. We'll learn something inside from the Balatanya to help us understand this yisod that we learn. And on the other side of the page is a Torah from Kodesh in the first chelik of Avkuk. So we'll see. It's important that every now and then we'll stop every now and then in our limud to try to fill in with some of the Torah from the tzaddikim to have a better, more rounded picture of these yisodos that we're learning in the Sefer, which are brought down in very brief and very short way. To have a deeper and richer understanding of some of these very big yisodos. So what you have in front of you, the first side of the page, well, it's hard to say that which is the first side. One side of the page says on it, Shiur. Okay? That's L'Kutei Torah from the Alter Rabbi, Susi Aleinu. So on the bottom of the right side, it's the pasuk. We're only going to learn a small part of this. It's a much longer Torah. We're just going to learn the part of it that's the Inyanenu, our Inyan. The Torah is going on the pasuk in the second parak of Shiur. Yonasi b'chag v'hasela b'seiser hamadrega, which is translated as my dove. My dove, Yonasi, is b'chag v'hasela, is in the cracks of the rocks. B'seiser hamadrega, hidden by the cliff. Harinius marayich, hashminius kolech. Let me see your face, let me hear your voice. Hikarlech arev umarech nava. Because your voice is sweet and your face is beautiful. Okay, we're all familiar with the pasuk. The Alter Rebbe has very, very deep Torahs. All his Torahs are very, very deep, but particularly Shiur, and here as well. And this is the Indian that we're talking about. He speaks about this in a number of places in the Kodesh Torah. Offhand here, besides here, also in Parshas Balak, he has a Torah on this Indian. But here it's shorter and more negate our Indian. Hine pasuk is nemar al zman she'ein beis hamikdash kayim. The Alter Rebbe says that this pasuk is referring to the time that we're not going to have the Beis HaMikdash. Sheknesses Yisrael hi begolus. And Knesses Yisrael, the Yonah, is in a hard place. The rocks, the cliff. Knesses Yisrael is in golus. Azahi b'seiser hamadrega. B'seiser hamadrega. Balzman Yitzias Mitzrayim nemar. And regarding the time of Yitzias Mitzrayim, it says in Shiur, Ki hine hasasav avar, hageshem chalav, that the seasons have passed, the fall and the winter, and hateina chanta fageh, and things are beginning to ripen. Kumilach, Rayasi, Yafasi, Lechilach. Hashem is telling us to get up. We've been through the Galus of Mitzrayim and all of the unbearable difficulties of the harsh winter of the Galus, so to speak. Kumi Lechilach. It's time to get up and to go. Kamesha Kosov, the Rabbi, Shaar Hagan, the Medrash Rabbah, Huva B'Pirish Rashi, as Rashi brings on his Parish and Shaar Hagan. Ubir Heinyan Zeh. Hine inyan ra'yosi afasi. That throughout Shaar Hagan, this lashon is being used. Ra'yosi yafasi, my beloved, my beautiful one. Hu ha'idei haTorah v'hamitzvos. This is through the observance of Torah mitzvahs. She'aTorah k'may shehi lechem u'mazon l'nefesh. The same way that a person is sustained by the bread, by the food that he eats, kach ayidei haTorah mefarnesen Yisrael la'avim shebashamayim. What the Alter Rebbe is explaining is the lashon of ra'ayasi. Ra'ayasi means a companion, a dear friend, ra'ayasi. But Chazal tell us that the word ra'ayasi, beloved friend, is also a lashon of roa, which is a shepherd. Ra'ayasi, the one who is shepherding me. So how could it be that Knesset Yisrael, that the Jewish people are the ones who are taking care, kivyochel, of Hashem? The shepherd is the one who sees after, who looks after, takes care of. So, consistent with the Zachar and the Nekeva in the pasuk, so the Jewish people, Knesset Yisrael, is called Ra'ayasi. Hashem says about us that we are the ones who are taking care, kivyochel, of Him. The shepherd is feeding, sustaining, and taking care of the flock. So we understand that Hashem takes care of us. We're tzon marisa. We say in davening every day, Mizmor l'Sayda, Amo, tzon marisa. We're his nation and the sheep that he tends to, that he feeds, that he takes care of, that he looks after. But in the pasuk, Hashem kivyochel is the one who's being taken care of by us, because he calls us Ra'yosi Yafasi. Ra'yosi Yafasi. So he says, the Alter Rebbe explains, the same way that Torah mitzvahs is called lechem umozon l'nefesh. Kach ha'idei haTorah mefarnesen l'avim sheshamayim. Chazal say this, that the Jewish people kivyochel are mefarnesim la'aviham shebashamayim. That we are kivyochel being mefarnes, we're sustaining, we're taken care of. Doesn't mean in his essence, God forbid. But the way Hashem made the world is that the same way that a human being is sustained by the food that he eats, the bread that he eats. And the Torah mitzvahs is what spiritually keeps us alive, sustains us. Our Torah mitzvahs, kivyochel, is mefarnes and lavim shoshamayim. That's Hashem's parnasa. That's how the Shechina is being sustained in this world. Right, there's a nikra Knesset Yisrael Ra'yosi. And because of this, Knesset Yisrael is called Ra'yosi. That through our mitzvahs there are levushim, there are garments that are created for the soul in Gan Eden. The kachal al yodan nikra Knesset Yisrael Yafasi. And so too, Knesset Yisrael, the Jewish people, Hashem refers to as Yafasi. Ra'yosi, Yafasi. She'oseh levush malchus l'melech malchim loch HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That we are the ones who in this world reveal the beauty of Hashem. And we, so to speak, create, sew, weave for Him, levushim, beautiful garments in this world. Lo haven's a hativ. In order to try to understand this, okay, we're not going to get to the bottom of the whole Ra'yosi Yafasi, that's a couple of pages down. But our Indian. V'lohavin zeheitev hinei noidish loy kol haneshama kula b'chlal lehim lubeshes b'guf ha'adam lamata. This is the thing we were talking about last week. The Alter Rebbe explains, it is known that it's not the entire neshama. Shelo kol haneshama kula b'chlala him lubeshes b'guf ha'adam lamata. It is not the entire neshama that is enclosed in the body of a Jew here in this world. Shai malach b'shlish olam oimed. Look, the neshama of a Jew is higher than an angel. And an angel can't be contained, whatever that means. This world is not a place that can contain the malachim, so to speak, without going into that. And since the neshama of a Jew is much greater than an angel, so it can't be that a body of a person can contain the essence of the soul. It can't be. So this is like we were learning from the Nefesh HaChaim. It's only a little bit of the or, of the light, of the soul. He mislabeshes baguf, that is enclosed in the body. He hamislabeshes baguf. V'chol haneshama kula, he lamala. But the entirety of the soul is lamala. Again, when I point upwards, it's just we do that. It doesn't, we're not talking about a place, but it's lamala. Not in physical space, it's lamala. It's higher than the guf. B'bchinis makiv. B'bchinis makiv. In that way that surrounds, that transcends, not that fills the guf. It's only a ha'or of the neshama that fills the guf. V'nikra mazel b'lashon chazal. And this is referred to with the word mazel. Not the way that we use it, to say mazel tov, although it's connected to that. But this, the Rabbi explains, is mazel. Sh'amru, Chazal tell us, Afagav di'ihu lo chazi. It's talking about Daniel, Halmaisa of the Sefer Daniel, but it's referring to the neshama v'chlal. Afagav di'ihu lo chazi, meaning that even though there are many things that we don't see with our eyes, meaning we can't experience physically, we're not aware of. Afagav di'ihu lo chazi, mazlei chazi. But the mazel of a person is aware of. Even though the person doesn't see, the person doesn't experience that in the guf, but his mazel sees it. Mazlei chazi. We're not talking here about mazel, like translated very, very, very loosely into English as fortune, good fortune or luck. We're not talking about that type of mazel. Shein mazel Yisrael. There's no other force that controls our lives. There's no meaning here that we have by luck and or the kochavim and the mazolos. The constellations don't. Astrology is not what controls our existence. Ein mazel Yisrael. So when Chazal tell us that the person doesn't see, but his mazel sees, it doesn't mean his lucky star or his constellation or anything like that. It means that even though that small part of the soul, that or of the neshama that's within us, is not aware of this reality, but the neshama in its source, in its root, in its source, in our higher level of existence, is aware. It's referring to that level of the neshama that it's not enclosed in the body. V'nikra mazel. So why is that called mazel? Afagav di'iu lo chazi mazlei chazi. Why is it called mazel? Why is the neshama referred to in such a way as mazel? V'nikra mazel ben loshen yizal mayim midalya. The pasuk in Parshas Bolak, yizal mayim midalya So the lashon of mazel means when something is flowing down, it's dripping down. That's the lashon of yizal mayim midol, water that is dripping. The noizlim min levanon, or as it says in Shiur, the noizlim min levanon, like the water that from the snow that's melting, or the waters that are flowing down from the mountains. Shehimazeles uminatefes tipas hashpa v'ha'ora milamala lahaneshama hamulubeshes baguf. So the neshama is referred to as mazel because it is dripping from its higher existence, very subtle drops into the guf. That's what the Rabbi says. She mazelas umenatefes tipas hashpa. Tipas hashpa v'ha'ora. There are tipos. There are drops of or and hashpa and ha'ora of or. Milamala, that descend from above. That's the mountaintop. That's the root of our souls. La'aneshama hamulubeshes baguf. Into the neshama that is enclosed in the body. The kashra or l'chabra baguf. That connect and bind our higher existence to our lower existence. These drops are like glue that make this connection between above and below. But it's not the entirety, it's not the entire neshama. V'zo, and now the Rabbi refers to what we were discussing last week, the question of the Arizal. How do we say in the morning the bracha Elokai Neshama Shesatabi? Elokai Neshama Shesatabi sounds like, I want to thank you. You gave me my neshama. You took it back at night, and you gave it to me in the morning. Elokai Neshama Shesatabi Tahiri. So Alter Rebbe explains. V'zo Elokai Neshama Shesatabi Tahiri Ate Barasa and so on. Really, it should say in the other way. It should say not first tahorihi. It should say Elkai Neshama Shesatabi, the soul that you gave me, Ate Barasa, you created, and so on. Ate Barasa to Yasar to the fact to be, and then to say it's pure. Tahiri. He called him Shenivres. Because before it's created, you can't describe it as being pure. So first you should say Elokai Neshama Shnesatabi, Ata Barasa, Ata Yatzarta, Ata Nefachta, and so on. And then now we're going to describe this Neshama that you created, that you gave me. Now we can describe it as being pure. But that's not what it says. The lashon of the bracha is Elokai Neshama Shnesatabi Tahiri. And then Ata Barasa, Ata Yatzarta. So the Rabbi explains. The Rabbi says when we say the bracha Elokai Neshama Shesatabi, we're first talking about the entirety of the soul, the essence of the soul, the shurish of the soul. Elokai Neshama Shesatabi Tahirihi. The root of that soul, in its essence, is pure, is entirely pure. It's not connected to any tumah at all. Doesn't have any relationship with the tumah of this world. That each one of us has the shurish of the neshama. That's Torah. Elokai neshama shesatabi. Again, be here. Doesn't mean that it's become integrated within us. It means that my neshama, my soul, is Torah, is pure. But that's referring to the essence of the soul, which is l'malam ha'guf, which transcends the guf. B'chinas makif. It's in this way of makif that surrounds, that transcends. She ain't a b'chinas bria. It's not something which is part of the creation of this world, of the lower world. It goes to the levels of worlds. You could hear over here bria, atzilus, bria, tzir, and so on, the different levels of worlds, which is the shtalshlus hamadrega, which later on the Rebbe is going to get back to the lashon of the pasuk b'seisa yanasi b'chag ve'asela b'seisa hamadrega. We're not going to go into that now, but there's a hishtalshlus, there's a descent from the highest, from that reality of neshama tahori, in the purest sense, in its root, is pure. And then the neshama begins its journey through rasa, yitzarta, and so on. The neshama goes on its journey. Hishtalshlus hamadrega, like going down steps. Madregos are steps. Descending. In order for the that bit of light, those drops, to become enclosed in the body, they have to go down many steps, many levels. Until it becomes something which is part of our reality, of our existence, which consists of our intellect and our midos and so on. It has to go down many, many steps until it becomes part of our inner world of seichel and midos, and the kodesh and nefesh and so on. It descends down many, many steps, many levels, many madregas, in order to be milubeshes beguf. However, lamaila, in its root, it's ayin. Ayin means it's not anything that's connected to the physical world at all. It's ayin. It's nothing. Nothing doesn't mean it means it's really everything, but it's nothing because it can't be described in anything in this world. And really, the Baal Shem Tov said that's the meaning of Ein Mazel Yisrael. Even that sentence, Ein Mazel Yisrael, means that the ayin is Aleph Yud Nun. Ayin is the Mazel of Yisrael. There's the ayin, that infinite reality which is beyond expression and description, which is called ayin, nothing, because we can't understand it or relate to it. That ayin is the Mazel Yisrael. From there is that dripping, there is that flow into down many, many, many infinite levels, madregas, yanasi b'chag ve'asela b'seisa madrega, until finally there are drops of that that come from that place of ayin, which is the Mazel Yisrael, that descends into the person and is enclosed in the seichel and the midas and the kodesh and nefesh and so on.
So this is referring to the neshama in its state of incorporated within Ein Sof before.
Yes.
Before.
Yes.
Kingdom?
Yes. Before in the ocean, before it becomes separated into something. It's not individuated into something separate. Yeah. See, the Tanya writes in a number of places that we speak about our existence as yesh me'ayin, right? Something from nothing. But the Tanya says that truth is that what we're living in is ayin mi'yesh. Really, this is nothing. That's the true yesh. Just we can't understand that, so we speak in such a way of yesh me'ayin. This is the yesh. This is really ayin compared to what's above, to the root. We don't understand that, so we speak in such a way of yesh me'ayin. The Daas says it's ayin mi'yesh. The true yeshus is the one that we can't see with our eyes. That's the highest level of yeshus, of reality. The one that we're living in, compared to that, is ayin. But we can't understand that, and we speak as human beings, and we say that it seems to us that this is reality, and that is ayin. That's something beyond. Before the world was created, this is exactly what you're talking about, that before physical creation, that's all there was. An emesis, that it's even after creation, that's the true reality, that's the highest level of reality. So to even now, as we're sitting here in this physical world, the neshama is in a state that neshama tahara is in a state of yichud, of absolute unity, b'ma'asila baruch hu, with kiviyachol, the infinite one. V'sham hi tahari, and tahari, in that reality of its source, the neshama is absolutely pure. After the brackets, v'al-b'chinas neshama zu, and regarding that level of the neshama, that primal level of neshama, Amru, Chazal say on the pasuk Bereishis bara Elokim, Bereishis b'shvil Yisrael shenikru Bereishis. So the Torah begins with the words Bereishis bara Elokim, and of course Rashi Chazal say b'shvil Yisrael. So why doesn't it just say b'shvil Yisrael bara Elokim? Bereishis bara Elokim. So the Rabbi says, Shenikru Bereishis lo pirush hakosav b'hedya b'Yisrael. The Torah doesn't spell out b'Yisrael bara Elokim. It says Bereishis bara Elokim, not b'Yisrael bara Elokim. Because the whole tachlis of creation is Yisrael. As Chazal tells and Rashi says, so why doesn't it say b'Yisrael bara Elokim? Lo pirush hakosav b'hedya b'Yisrael ki b'Yisrael yesh shtei bechinas. And the Alter Rebbe says because there are two bechinas. We live simultaneously, each one of us lives simultaneously in two worlds. The one that we're in right now, as we speak, as we're sitting here, that's one level of reality that we're living in. That's called the neshama, the melubeshes beguf adam, the soul that's enclosed in the body of man. In that regard, Chazal tell us that the Torah is higher than Yisrael. So here we are in this physical world, and we're trying to climb higher in our lives by holding on to the Torah. And from that perspective of the neshama that's mislabeshes beguf, the Torah is higher than the soul of a Jew. And we need the Torah, and we use the Torah, and we learn Torah, and we observe Torah in order to try to ascend to a higher level. So, as far as that's concerned, we really can't say be Yisrael bara Elokim, because Yisrael is not the beginning, so to speak, of creation. It's not the highest level of creation. The Torah is higher than Yisrael. We need the Torah. We can't live without the Torah. The Torah is our only hope, is the Torah. But that's one level of creation. There's a tremendous yesod. However, the neshama lamala, the root of the soul, the entirety of the soul, that's in that way of makif that surrounds the person, al zeh amru Yisrael shenikru Bereishis. That's called Yisrael shenikru Bereishis. But that's not our reality. Our physical reality is that there are things that are higher than us. The Torah. And so on. It says, al zeh amru Yisrael shenikru Bereishis. Yisrael olu b'machshava, Kodesh Yisrael Hashem, Bereishis tvuasa. However, regarding the root of the neshama, that's what all the Chazals that talk about the Jewish people being gracious, and that's the meaning of Kodesh Yisrael Hashem. It says in the pasuk Bereishis tvuasa, that we're the first, that we're the gracious of Hashem. That's Bereishis tvuasa, and in that regard, the Torah was created for Yisrael.
Is that connected also to Machshava Kodim Bria?
Yes, it's the same Yisod. Who Bereishis and Makar HaTorah? It's the Bereishis and Makar HaTorah. I mentioned over the years once or twice about how, a number of times about how it happened once in Simchas Torah, that there was at Akofis by 770. There's one of the old Hasidim was dancing with the Torah, and he fell down, and he dropped the Torah. And all the Chassidim, you can imagine, gave a shrine, and they went running for the Sefer Torah, except for one Chassid. Who was that?
Rabbi.
The Rebbe himself, the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He ran to pick up the old Chassid. And he spoke about it later on. Everybody else ran to pick up the Torah, except the Rebbe. He went to pick up the Yid. And the Rebbe said, gave a whole talk about this. That the emesis and Pnimiyus is that the Torah was created for this Yid. And when they both fall down, this one is gracious, is Shli Yisrael, Shli gracious. You have to pick up the Jew before you pick up the Torah. And he had a whole limit on that also. Kedarka Kodesh, where he went with that. But many people don't think that they don't look at things that way. But the Rebbe was saying a very deep thing. This is who Reishis and Makar Torah. Pnimiyus, Nishmas Yisrael is the Reishis, is the Makar Torah. Because throughout the entire Torah it's written over and over again. Darbo b'nei Yisrael, Tzavis b'nei Yisrael. Shakol HaTorah Kula Nivdish Misadas b'chinis Yisrael. The whole Torah is for Yisrael. Tzavis b'nei Yisrael, Darbo b'nei Yisrael. The Torah is for Yisrael. The Torah is for Yisrael. This is the Olam Machshava you're talking about. The truth is that this Bechina of the Etzema, of the Nishmas Yisrael, that's in the root of who we are, that is the Makar in the Yisrael of Torah. Ukadisa Medrash in the brackets, Ukadisa Medrash Rabbi, Hashem's thought of Yisrael came before anything else. That thought of Yisrael, that's higher than anything. Dahainu gam kaidim l'Torah, gam kaidim l'Torah. V'zeu v'yokem edus b'Yakov v'Torah sam b'Yisrael. These two madregas are referred to or hinted at in the two names of Yaakov Avinu. Of Yaakov, which is the lower madrega, which is Eikev, the heel. That's the neshama in the guf. And Yisrael is the Oisius Li Rosh, which is the neshama in its root and its source. The two names. That's why those two names remain. Unlike Avram and Avram, we're not allowed to. We don't call him anymore Avram. But when it comes to Yaakov Avinu, it's Yaakov and Yisrael. V'yokem edus b'Yakov v'Torah sam b'Yisrael. Pirish b'Yakov v'Yisrael. Shebehem v'al yodam hekim edus v'Torah. Shemehem nimshach haTorah. Shemehem nimshach haTorah. I call Torah Mazlech and so on and so forth. Now turn over the page. Now, Rav Kook, you all know, was deeply influenced by the two Bati Midrashim. He was a Chabad Chassid. From his mother's side, he was a Chabad Chassid. Came from Kapos Chassidim, from the Chassidim of the Tzemach Tzedek. And on the father's side, they were Talmidim of the Talmidei Agra. So Rav Kook is a magnificent integration of those two worlds. And in all of his teachings, he was doing that. So let's see what. So I thought it'd be interesting to just give a little bit of a taste of what Rav Kook says about our sugya. So this is in the first chelik of Aris HaKodesh. Kuf Pei Beis. Now, just to remind you of something that we learned long ago. Not all of you were there, but in Rav Kook's introduction to the Siddur, he has a sentence that begins with the words "An neshama tamid mispalalas." The neshama is constantly davening. He's speaking there about what it means to have kavana by davening, and Rav Kook says that the neshama is constantly davening. The problem, of course, is that by the time we're saying the words and uttering the words with our physical mouths in our lives, something can get in the way. But the neshama is tamid mispalalas. So, what does that mean? That the neshama is perpetually davening. But based upon what we're learning now, we understand that it's referring to what? It's referring to the neshama and its makar. It's referring to that madrega that's called Yisrael. to the Madrega of the Neshama Tahiri, which is always davening. How much of the davening is able to drip into our mouths, that depends on how hard we work. How much we allow in of the Neshama to our mouths, into our hearts, to our minds. How much of that Neshama is able to, of that are we able to receive? Our job is to make ourselves into kelim that are able to receive more and more of that light, of those drops that are flowing from the Neshama. And that's what he's explaining here in Aish HaKodesh. We'll just be able to start now. He says, "Ve'efsha hadavar lahargish es tnuos haneshama shebetahim ta'alumasa es kishura el oisam ha'olam stanzgav shemehem hiyaynekes es soid chaya es ziva v'hadar." Let's try to translate that. It's possible, Rav Kook says, to sense, to feel the tnuas haneshama, the movements of the soul. Shebetahim ta'alumasa, because the soul, in the depths of its hiddenness, of its concealment, we're able to feel as kishura something to have some reverberations, to feel something of as kishura, of that connection. We're able to feel in the movements of our own souls within us. We're able to feel something of that, of the those exalted worlds that are beyond us. Because it's from those worlds that are beyond this world that the neshama is yonekes es sod chaya, draws forth the secret of her existence, as ziva v'hadara, her splendor, her glory. So the neshama that's in the guf, we're able to feel certain reverberations in our neshama, in the guf, of that connection that the neshama has to oilmas and his government, to the worlds beyond this world. Because those worlds beyond this world, that's really from where the neshama draws the secret of its existence in our bodies. It comes from there, as ziva v'hadar. And the more that a person works on making himself into a kli that is holy, that is pure, the further a person pulls himself away from sin, from chet, and the more inclined, the more he draws himself to holiness and to nobility, meaning spirituality, the neshama becomes more and more revealed to him. And the light of the soul begins to flow into him. And there's a greater and greater demand that the person feels to the very core of his being, to become one, to become more connected to become more unified, the makor chayev, with the root of his life, which is beyond this world. There's this demand. As the person purifies himself more, and he's able to receive more dosages, higher dosages of that neshama that is the shorish of his life, he begins to feel more and more the need to identify with that, to become one with the makor of his life. Hagvia, the body, v'chol netiyoseh, holechasi u'miskadeshes. With this, the person's body and everything, and all of his physical inclinations, all of his physical needs, holechasi u'miskadeshes, becomes holier and holier. Noitihi ala yesod hanishmasi, because everything now is turned towards the foundation of the soul beyond this world. It's connecting more to that root of the neshama. Chusheha mischadedim. The physical senses of the person become sharper. They become more sensitive. They become more spiritualized and less physical, less coarse, more refined. V'im zeh mis'alim. body like by the tzaddikim misalim, miskach, higher and holier, umisadniv and more edel, more refined. Hareach, one's smell. Ha'akshava, hearing. Ha'ri'iyah, one's eyesight. Ha'kol mis'ala, everything is elevated. Ha'kol misbaher, everything is brighter, clear. Ha'neshama sho'ebes ora, mimkare miromeha. The neshama draws this light, mimkare miromeha, from the source of its exaltedness, meaning from the neshama above. Umehamo'or ha'mikari hazeh, and from that original, from the source of the neshama, he mashpaz al hanefesh hachaya. It's mashpia into the nefesh ruach neshama of the person in the guf. Al kaychas haguf haruchniim v'gashmiim. The kaychas of the guf, the physical kaychas, as the Alter Rebbe was explaining, and the seichel and the midas, everything. Hagvura misgadelas, one's strength, one's courage, one's gvura becomes strong. Habitochen, one's trust, one's faith becomes stronger. Oimas halev, and the courage of the heart. B'sheket haruach, and the tranquility of the soul. The person becomes calm. Holechu mispashe. As this mazel flows into the person, who's made himself into a kli to receive it, all of these characteristics are holech mispashe, begin to spread out throughout his eyes, his ears, his entire life, existence. And a longing for something greater, for things that are greater. Shal taim v'yosher, Pnimiyus, and yashvus. Shal chayim v'or, a longing for life and a longing for light. Shal Daas v'yifa, of deep knowledge and understanding. Harlechas u'miskadelas, becomes greater and greater. V'ha'odam holech u'menatzeach es ha'chayim, yitzochen achen yitzochen. And the person marches forward, and he's conquering this world, the life of this world, with the life of the neshama, yitzochen achen yitzochen. One victory and another victory. Hakinna, hatayva, hakor, v'harn, all those negative things in our lives are, all those things are destroyed. Kinna, taiva, kavod, hain, hayikarim kol kach etzorai b'nei adam, these things that are so dear to the whole world, that the whole world's meshiga of all of these things, nasim be'enav bizuyim v'zarlim, become in this person's eyes disgusting, cheap, silly. V'ruch ha'shoykek el ha'torah, and his spirit is only longing for that which is pure, to connect to that reality of l'kayim neshama sh'netzat to be tahiri, el ha'toiv ha'muchlak, to absolute good, el ha'emes ha'mezaheres, to the shining truth, el ha'netzach b'kol malo hado, to nitzchias, to eternity in all of its splendor, el or Hashem kel elokei olam, to the light of Hashem, the God of the world. So that's what we're talking about, just a little bit of a taste of what we're learning from the tzaddikim, and from time to time we'll fill in with some Torah from outside. So we continue next week. We're going to talk about a little bit about Chaya and Yechid. Do you have a minyan?
I don't, but I'll stay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm keeping.